I think Jaylen was like 4 for 4 to start, and John was like, "Guys, I'm out tonight, load management." So, not a surprise that John couldn't make it for this one.
Let's start with Jaylen.
But nonetheless,
he was awesome. Right?
Yeah, we have to.
You go from that first game where he's out of the mix, no shots in the fourth. We talked to him the next day, and it's like, yeah, I'll find my spot. Jason talked him up pretty well after that one in terms of the stuff he did outside of scoring. And then it was a slow start in that Heat game, right? Some bad turnovers, misses around the rim, but he picked it up late and helped them win the game in a big way. And then in this one, they get him looks early. And this is what I love about especially Derek White having more opportunity as a point guard, is the way he can spread the ball out and get it where it needs to go. You saw Tatum away from the ball for a lot of this one. I'm going to pull up the numbers at some point in terms of the ball time through 3 games, but it seems pretty even. Doesn't seem like anyone's dominating the ball for large stretches, but they noticed that Brown had it early in this game, and they kept finding him. So this is a major step for this team early in this season. Their poise and their just overall ability to get the ball where it needs to go. And I don't know what we're apologizing for, but
I put it up. Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I pull the John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
I think they're most likely talking about maybe some of us criticized game 1 Jaylen performance, and I think there were a lot of questions. Listen, and this is one game, and it's great that he wasn't
good in the first game.
Brown, yeah. I know.
So we talked about it.
It's a joke that I put it up.
Tyus Jones and whoever.
Yes,
Facts. Right.
But in his defense, he played well. I mean, he hit some big shots, not big like
right,
in the
and that's
shots,
why we led with him.
He was scoring from all over.
We're talking about him.
He was doing it from all over. It was against a team that either chose not to play defense or forgot how to play, or maybe a little bit of both. But this is the nice reminder that you get regarding Jaylen Brown. And this is the type of game that he's put up numerous times over his career. That is the reason why he got the contract that he did in the offseason. And it's one of the reasons why the Celtics are championship contenders. It's because on any given night, somebody in that lineup can go for 30 plus. Tatum, Brown, we saw Derek White do it. We already know Kristaps Porzingis did it. So there's a lot of options. And you know what? We'll get into this a little bit later, but they're going to need a couple guys every night to go off for 30 each, because they're not going to be getting much offensive production from that bench. Again, I don't want to overreact to 1 game or 2 games here, but it just doesn't feel like there's going to be a lot of bench production offensively. Now, there's not going to be a lot of situations where it's just the bench guys in the game, unless you have a blowout situation in one direction or the other. So we'll kind of, leave we won't get too hung up on the total bench output tonight, but point being, a guy like Jaylen Brown getting hot early, credit to the rest of the team for getting him the ball in motion, in situations where he was feeling confident enough to score in that position. And they took advantage of him getting hot in the first quarter. Sometimes we've seen him get hot and then disappear the rest of the game. That wasn't the case tonight. I think he had 3 threes in the second quarter there, went into the halftime with a career high. Now, of course, that production is gonna lower a little bit in the second half when they didn't play anybody in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, he could have ended up with realistically 50 points tonight if he played the whole game.
I'm interested in the boost in the 3-point shot too, Brown. With Brown here, and you saw him over the last couple of years take a dip in that area. I thought his shot looked great in the preseason. I'm trying to take a look at what he did from 3 in those first 2 games, but it was the poise with which he shot the 3-pointer in this one. 3 of 7 in the last game, 0 of 4 to open the season against the Knicks. So this is his best 3-point shooting game in a little while here, going back to last year even. So if that's there for him this year, it's going to make it all the more easy for him to fit in. And there's no apology there. There's no slander. It's the reality of his role on this team. Porzingis is going to be in a ton of the actions. Holiday's a ball handler, point guard. Derek as well. I'm pulling up Derek here. He's got 4 minutes a game coming into this one on the ball.
So what was different tonight? Why was Jaylen Brown's role or output so different than it was in game 1? And we only have 3 games to look at here, so I know it's a small sample size.
Right, but it was a combination of things. One was the defense. He came out with a couple stops. I think that gets him going. I think that was the case in game 2, right? At TD Garden against the Miami Heat. So there's that, and then also I just feel like the team starts feeding the hot hand after a while, right? He got points in a hurry, and I think the offense, did his best in trying to seek out Jaylen. I think when that happens, you see easier looks for him, right? Especially when you're playing a team like the Wizards, where they were sort of just like getting caught up in switches. All of a sudden, you had mismatches down low. What was it? Tatum had like Tyrus Jones down low at one point, and you look for those same type of opportunities for Jaylen. And I feel like Jaylen capitalized on them. Now, again, you have to remember you're not going to see this other team face a defense like the Wizards very often throughout the NBA, throughout this season. But you know that when Jaylen, finds a mismatch or finds a lane that he can take advantage of, he's going to do that. And I think the starters do a really good job of seeking him once he gets going. They do a good job of acknowledging that, okay, he's heating up a little bit, and you can credit a lot of that to Jrue Holiday or just their offense in general. I feel like it's just sort of when he's hot, you can see the team respond to that.
FanDuel is the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Imbalance on the defense. They're overcompensating on Porzingis, and Porzingis in this one, unsurprisingly, ends up with 3 assists. Had another nice skip pass for an assist from the post. He's doing a good job of drawing in extra defenders, whether it's up high and taking guys off the dribble and making plays from there, usually looking to shoot. But in this game, a little bit more passing from him, and that helps too. But overall, I think part of it is Jaylen getting up to the high post, Jimmy, and demanding the ball more often. Like sometimes you're looking at him and he's stashed in the corner, or he's out of the play, in past seasons here, and there's no real opportunity for him to get the ball. And I go back to that play on opening night. He sets a screen up top to help create the foul on Porzingis late in that game with Hartenstein in the corner. Throughout this game, just freeing himself by popping out and catching and shooting open threes. So he's active, he's involved. And, I've talked to him a handful of times over the past, couple of days here, Jimmy, and he just seems locked in and bought in, I think is the better way to say it, to this role he has here on this team, which is going to be off ball most of the time, sometimes sacrificing shots, sometimes sacrificing opportunities, but knowing it can come back around in a game like this. So he responded well to that opening night game. There's no other way to say it. He did an incredible job shaking off a slow start against Miami and finishing strong, and then coming out here with one of the, frankly, better games of his career, cleaner game certainly here.
Yeah, I agree with
that. Look at that number. Look at what's your favorite number in that whole stat line if you look at it?
Yeah,
0 turnovers.
0 turnovers. Somebody tweeted at me, are we going to talk about Jaylen's turnovers when he doesn't make them or only when he does make them? So,
and you know what?
Obviously,
I said that so fast. I feel like I was in class trying to be the first one to say it. Yeah, beat Bobby too.
Respond to another criticism of Brown. The left-hand finishes late against Miami. Big ones, too. Going through multiple defenders and finishing in that left side for his final basket.
He forced them left. It's true.
But, it doesn't have to be everyone's, including, us, whatever. We're looking at the situation like it might be a negative for Jaylen Brown. Like he might not have as big of a role in this, that, and the other thing. But maybe his role is just to focus more on what he does best, which is to score. Him being off the ball is a great thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, nobody wants to see Jaylen Brown dribbling the ball around the court and having to go from right to left and trying to find his shot. Guys like Holiday, guys like White had 8 assists tonight. They know when to defer. They're veteran guys. They know when to find their guys. They know when to give it to the guy who's cooking. Tonight it was Brown to start, and Tatum ended up with 33 points. So I mean, you gave it to your 2 beasts tonight, and I think that's and Porzingis. You can call it a somewhat quiet night, but he did everything that was asked of him as well. He had a great block on Poole there when Poole thought he was, I think Poole thought he was in the middle of an All-Star game or something.
I don't know what he was doing.
Porzingis snapped him back to
Poole was the guy guarding
reality
most of the time.
Yeah, Poole, and I mean, I think Kuzma had his work cut out for him tonight as well, and the Celtics obviously came into this one as heavy favorites, as they should have been, and they showed everybody why they were. Right. This was not a game. If you turned around in the game 5 minutes in, you missed missed the whole competitive part of the game because it jumped out. About 5 minutes into this game, it was no longer a game. The Celtics were not missing in that first quarter, and things just continue to spiral for the Wizards from that point on. And would they go up 36 or something? They go up 30 something.
41-19, I think, after one.